Hello there, people.
Howdy.
Okay. So today, I'm doing an assignment. I'm doing a streaming assignment for a class that I have of it's streaming media technologies. My name is Michael, and this is my tutor Ian.
Hi.
Um, and today, we're here to basically talk about. We are here to basically talk about. We are basically here to go in and talk about the upcoming titles that about possible upcoming titles that Nintendo may or may not release in in 2020. In 2020. This live stream is basically a discussion slash prediction video in where we will go over what I just said, future products and titles and such that we are going to see. And the reason and they basically the reason one of the main reasons why I chose Nintendo over many other companies is because Nintendo they're pretty unpredictable.
Oh yeah, very. And they put out a whole lot of titles. They have tons and tons of different developers that work for them. I think we're going to be focusing on first-party stuff today, but there are thousands and thousands of titles available for Nintendo systems. They're all different.
Yeah, and there's and yeah, there would not be enough time to go over first party, third party, indie developers, and then everything else. That would take way too long. So, so without any further ado, let's get started. All right. Okay. Hey. So before we get into 2020 to 2020, there's one there's usually one last thing that Nintendo utilizes every year to to announce big titles and upcoming games and stuff. Right. It's basically an award show called the Video Game Awards Award Show, or the VGAs for short. It's self-explanatory. It's basically the Oscars or the Emmys, but for video games and such. And last year, and actually in the last few years, Nintendo unveiled a number of titles like unveiled a number of titles like Bayonetta 3, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and even a new Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Character had your last time.
This time I see them doing something like probably a new Smash character, I would imagine. Yeah. I see them going a new direction with Fire Emblem. They've been doing Fire Emblem, what is it, 3 houses right now? And I think that they're probably going to expand on that some more. I know they're doing Fire Emblem something or other already confirmed. We might talk about that later. Yeah. I really feel like they're going to start pushing for not necessarily new stuff, but I think they're going to start building on their older franchises, I think. So they'll keep going with Mario, obviously, keep going with Zelda. These aren't things that typically come up at VGAs, but definitely feel like they're going to keep going in that direction. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see some new Smash characters. We've got a big roster already, but
I know, and with all the speculation going around for it, it's been and especially with who the last character it's going to be. It's like a lot of people are wondering who it's going to be. Personally, I think that it's gonna be a Capcom character. It's gonna be a character from Capcom. I think that for me, I think it's either gonna be Phoenix Wright from Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, yes, for me, or it's gonna be the generic Monster Hunter character.
I would love to see them integrate a Monster Hunter character into Smash. That's what I was thinking.
And Rathalos is already a boss in that game.
Exactly.
So
he would fit really well on some of the existing moves.
Yeah.
Ridley would work.
Yeah.
Like so that would be a distinct possibility. Yeah, I would love to see that.
And plus more heavy characters as well. Heavyweight characters.
Oh yeah. I would like to see a hunter as well from Monster Hunter. Just like a heavy sword character.
I would love to see Hunter be great stuff.
But yeah, that's kind of my thought. Is like Capcom is their direction right now. I'd really like to see them go some direction with Monster Hunter World, even though they don't really have as much touch with that one. I'd like to see more Fire Emblem characters, but that's because I'm kind of a Fire Emblem nerd.
I want to see flipping. I wanted to see more Xenoblade characters, right? Characters, and that's just my thing.
Like someone else from Xenoblade would be good.
And I think that we're gonna see at some point in time. I think maybe in the second DLC pack.
Yeah.
Because the first pack is almost entirely third-party characters so far.
Yeah, so
and I think
yeah.
And that was like a special DLC that was free for a period of time. Period of time. So yeah. Do you think that there's going to be any other reveals for it, or?
I mean, I can't really. Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, Nintendo is just so hard to speculate about because they could do anything. I mean, we could see another addition to Bayonetta, I think. I mean, the Devil May Cry series has been on its way to getting ported over to Switch if it's not already.
Yeah.
So Devil May Cry, that kind of horde combat system making its way to Switch.
Dante is also owned by Capcom.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, Dante would be a lovely Smash character. Now that you mentioned that.
And it'd be so easy. Great into corporate spirits and all of this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For sure.
That'd be a cash cow waiting to happen. Oh yeah. But yeah, for me, I think that we're going to see at least a Wii U port of some sort.
Yeah.
Of some sort. I personally am leaning towards Xenoblade Chronicles X because Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is coming onto the Switch in 2020, and we'll get into that later.
Right.
It's one of the few Wii U titles that has been ported over already. Right. I think, I would say either that or a Pikmin collection of some sort.
Yeah, that would be great.
Of some sort.
They did Pikmin 1 through 3 for the Wii U, right?
No. It was just Pikmin 3 for the Wii U.
Right.
But my thing is that I think that having a trilogy
collection would be
and would be much more profitable than just the one game.
For sure. And those are fantastic games too.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. What I really, really, really want to see is new Mario. Even if it's remakes or remasters.
I would love Super Mario Sunshine.
Yes. That's that's the one I'm holding out.
Here's the thing. I would say graphics and the control and update the controls in that game, and almost everything else about it is already set in stone.
Oh yeah. Game with a wonderful storyline, fantastic play.
It's one of those things where it's great. It's one of those things that you realize has a good set idea. There's never this big. It's not like Skyward Sword where there's the challenge of doing controls and all that other stuff for it.
It's already a fairly solid base.
Yeah.
And always more Zelda is always welcome.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, we've got Breath of the Wild 2 slated for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see some remakes of like Master Quest for Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask HD or the 3D remakes even. If Grezzo just ported them to the Switch would be great.
Well, going into that, okay. Well, going into that, one of the, I think that we should take the time to transition from 2019 to 2020.
Yeah.
And the reason as to why as why I bring this up is because the Nintendo president has recently stated that he wanted to bring more Nintendo 3DS franchises onto the Switch.
Yeah.
But what that tells me is that there is a possibility of 3DS ports, which I think is an incredible idea, because that alone has because the 3DS alone has a plethora of games on it. I mean, Donkey Kong Country Return, Donkey Kong Country Returns. Yeah. And yeah, and like Tropical Freeze, yeah. Yeah, and then and that one, I don't think that was on the 3D, on the 3DS, but it would have fit on the 3DS pretty well.
It was.
I don't think it was.
Tropical Freeze for 3DS? Yeah, I've got it.
Oh,
it exists.
Okay. Anyways, the reason that's why I bring that up is because of the possibilities of not only bringing 2D Zelda, of bringing all the 2D Zelda games, which previously existed mainly on handheld consoles, and bring them onto the Switch. I mean, we've seen this with the most recent Zelda game that was put on the Switch. And the fact that just the idea of having an upscaled version of the 3DS equivalents of Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, A Link Between Worlds, and many other titles out there is really exciting. And then alongside that, the possibility for remakes. I would honestly, if I could have any game be remade on day, I would honestly do it was the Oracle Ages and the Oracle Seasons.
And so impossible to play because of the system they were on.
And I think that I would because I want to see. I want if Nintendo was going to remake Zelda, I want them to remake Zelda games that. I want them to remake Zelda games that struggled, or didn't, that either struggled or didn't quite have that execution.
Didn't fall quite into one way. They had nothing to say Ocarina of Time or Breath of the Wild or Twilight Princess. Yeah,
and I think of like Oracle Ages, Oracle Seasons, Skyward Sword, and and that's one of the things I really want to see, because I think Skyward Sword has a decent story. It's just
I love it.
And it's just that the controls are ass for. It's just the fact of the matter is that in the NVIDIA Shield has a version of the game on there where you can play it with a controller, and it's so nice. It's like, dude, it's like just put the game on there already. That's what I want to see.
Motion controls were the worst thing. Now gyros, love it. But that IR sensor motion control thing,
I think it depends. I think that for a Zelda game it was bad. I think that it depends on the game. I think that some games did a phenomenal job with that. The Metroid Prime games played fantastically with some of the motion controls, and then party games were pretty solid on it too. I mean, Wii Sports, that's already a hit game. A hit game. It's already a hit game. That's it.
Well, and that would be another thing, kind of while we're on the topic. That would be another thing that would be great to see is that party game kind of family plays together, fitness games, and I know we just got the Ring Fit. That's what it is.
I actually thought about this last night. Where it was the idea, it was basically the idea of combining game. Because have you ever played Utopia?
Yeah.
Because that game is insane.
Pretty great.
And I love it. It's just it's just this crazy. It's just this crazy zany game that has all this. That's just to put it bluntly, balls to the walls insane. And I absolutely love that. So my idea is this combining combining the party games, the sports games, all the party games, the sports games from the Wii, like Wii Sports Resort, and then also combining Ring Fit Adventure and Wii Fit. I mean, seriously, like, do you know how cool it would be to have the Ring Fit Adventure, to have Wii Fit trainers and the character from Ring Fit, and it'd be rebranding a character without having them go to waste. But I think
Nintendo likes to do.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that when you and how the yoga band and the leg strap and stuff can be it can be used for more than just one game. I think, and that's something that I think that a lot of people would actually appreciate. Because one of the things I didn't like about the Wii was how many accessories you had to have for one or two games.
How many little bits of accessories only worked for one game.
Yeah,
and the Switch. I think the Switch's whole goal is to take that versatility and reduce it down to one little package. And it does a great job.
Yeah. I mean, the Pro Controller is already amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of third-party controllers is already really good.
Mm-hmm. But to see their first-party utilities being used for something besides just the one game it was made for, I think of the Nintendo Labo. The cardboard stuff that was really just a huge letdown. It was really expensive. It broke.
It could have been used for something great.
Exactly.
Like do you know what it could have been used for? It's like they could have. It's like Fatal Frame made in the Black Water.
Oh yeah.
It was Nintendo owns that series of horror games, and they could have made they could have done a VR. They could have done a VR mode using for alien isolation.
That would be good.
That game is about to come out on the Switch, and having that VR mode would be intense. And
that's something
scary.
I'd love to see them play around with as well. Is the VR mode for the Switch. So just having this one little console that's so capable of things already. To see them add to that capability would be great.
I would love to see that. It's just I want to see them take that next step forward, because the Ring Fit Adventure actually utilizes IR sensors and the Joy-Con stuff better than I ever could have hoped for. I actually did a whole workout. I've only done one workout session on that thing. Right. It is insanely precise down to minute movements in your muscles, and it's like it's like if you are slightly off, where you're slightly off in your balance or your position, the game will know. It will tell you, and the indicators for that game it's very well integrated. I love that.
Yeah, I've considered looking at that one.
It's like $80.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, I mean it's $80 for a leg strap, a yoga band, and the game itself, which is pretty fair. It's pretty fair, and the possibility of this happening is actually pretty up there. The game, this is selling out. Like, this is actually selling out in Japan.
Selling super well.
There were shortages in Japan.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, so it would be great to see them utilize some of their older material on that, especially like Wii Sports.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Yeah. So, Okay, so we got a little off track there, but you know what though? Yeah. And so I wanted to go. Is I want there were 3 talking points I wanted to kind of go over here super briefly. So I wanted to go and talk about confirmed about games that have been confirmed, speculative titles, and then just personal wants for both of us. In confirmed games, it's pretty easy. I mean, there have been like 4 games. There's like 4 or 5 games confirmed at this point. Yeah, it's 5. There's Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. That's a Japanese role-playing game, JRPG. No More Heroes 3. That's an action game. Animal Crossing New Horizons. That one's huge. Yeah, and it's gonna be like one of the big. It's like one of the big titles in like March. Oh yeah. Like March of next year, speaking of, is gonna be huge. Like it's like there's like I think there's like Animal Crossing is coming out that month. I think Doom Eternal is coming out that month, and alongside that, Final Fantasy VII remake is coming out that month as well. And that some of that stuff isn't Nintendo. Yeah, it's still a big month and a big step forward.
I think just like 2019 has been a huge year for gaming, 2020 is going to be even
bigger. Yeah, and Nintendo knocked it out of the park this year. It's like every month there was a hit game. Yeah. I mean in June, Super Mario Maker 2, July, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, August, the surprise hit, Astral Chain.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was great. Okay, and then September, and then September had the new Zelda game. That was Link to the Past, right? Mm-hmm. I always keep forgetting.
Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds are kind of tied together. There's a whole thing. It's if you've looked at the timeline for Zelda, you understand why it's so confusing.
Trying to.
Yeah.
God, that's a nightmare right there.
Absolutely.
And then alongside that, there's also and then alongside all that, there's Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Fire Emblem Encore. Yeah. And that's big going on what you said earlier about Fire Emblem expansioning and stuff. Yeah. I would honestly like to see, honestly, do you know what I would really like to see? Fire Emblem Awakening, but with all the cool stuff from 3 Houses, like being able to walk around the towns and the castles and having that 3D action,
having more of that kind of JRPG feel to the interactions.
Yeah,
but still keeping the grid combat system from the original game. Yes. Great, yeah. Love to see something like that. It's great. I think one of the fan favorites that I would love to see, and this is getting out of confirmed games again, but
we've already gone over all of them. So.
Right.
But there's then one more game does that Drainage game or
right.
Yeah. So as you were saying about the Fire Emblem thing.
Right. Sacred Stones, like that's like a buried fan favorite in the Fire Emblem series.
Isn't that one of the ones? Is that one of the ones with Ike in it, or
no? Sacred Stones is the one with Erika and Ephraim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I actually remember seeing their favorites in Smash Bros.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the Game Boy Advance ones, and it's by far my favorite in the Fire Emblem series. And among all my friends and people that I know that play it, it's definitely a fan favorite. That's one that I would love to see them focus on.
I'm not a big Fire Emblem.
Right.
I mean, I appreciate the franchise. I just haven't really gone into it too much. That's the thing.
Right.
So that's about it for confirmed games, but
kind of a short list.
Yeah, it's kind of a short list, but that's to be expected.
Yeah, I mean we're still pretty. I mean we're coming up on the end of the year, but we've still got plenty of time for them to announce for next year.
Yeah, going to be. I mean, aside from the VGAs, there's also usually a direct January or February. I mean, at the very least, there will be some kind of presentation in between now and March. At the very least, I'd probably assume January, as that's probably a good time to kind of tackle that. As I feel that like anything else afterward probably wouldn't really make too much sense.
There's and then for announcing for 2020, no, you're right. But I mean, like they did this year, they did that direct in September.
Yeah,
for late 2019 and early 2020.
Barely.
Yeah. Most of it was late 2019 stuff. Yeah. But I think that's a good segue for us to move into like what we think is going to come or what has been announced and just doesn't have a set date for 2020 yet.
But either one of us or both of us thinks is going to happen at some point in time. So kind of going off that list, as I previously stated, Xenoblade Chronicles X. Yeah. I say that because Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Fire Emblem Encore and Xenoblade Chronicles X are both Wii U ports. Basically to give a little bit of context, the Wii U is the previous console. Is Nintendo's previous console before the Switch.
Kind of their trial run at the Switch, kind of. The gamepad was almost identical to what.
Yeah. I know that most people who are watching this would understand it. I'm only explaining this to my teacher so that she's not like, what the fuck are you talking about?
But yeah, as far as speculative goes as well, we've got confirmed Breath of the Wild 2 for as far as Zelda games go. As you can probably tell by this point, I'm a bit of a Zelda fanatic.
Oh, I love it. Zelda is like
it's easily their second largest franchise. Like Mario.
It's like Mario and Pokemon.
Yeah, really. I mean, well, Pokemon, you've got to give them that.
They're literally the largest media in the world, and we'll get back to them later.
Yeah, because we've actually got some new Pokemon to talk about.
Yeah,
as far as speculation goes, but yeah, we've got video for Breath of the Wild 2. We've got a little bit of a teaser trailer. I would love to see a 2020 release date for that. I think it's possible.
And honestly, I think that. It's not the possibility is there, and I would say but personally, I would say that if we're going to be doing that, Breath of the Wild 2 would probably ship out alongside a Switch Pro or something. Like
I would see it coming with a new console.
Yeah, because almost every iteration of the Switch so far has come out with a new Zelda corresponding with it.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Switch Lite came out at the same time as the...
And then there was also newer models with better battery life.
Yeah.
And you know what that came out?
Oh yeah, that's right. Ooh, also such a great game.
And yeah, I want to talk about that and we'll too. We'll explain that later. Hitters. But yeah, Breath of the Wild 2, I would say it's definitely a holiday title. You know, it's one of the few titles in where I could see it, and where I could see a justified early December release if they're gonna be doing that in 2020. And if not, I would say at the very least seeing I would at the very least say Twilight Princess HD, and Wind Waker HD. Okay, at the very least, just putting those games on.
Because they were already made. Porting them is it's nothing for them. Really.
Yeah, and considering how you don't even have to do too much with them. It's like it's like you really just have to champion. You really just have to kind of sync it up control wise, maybe up the graphics and make the engine compatible. But other than that, it's pretty sensitive.
Zelda is looking good for next year.
Mario, on the other hand, Mario, I went a little bit into this and how the most likely thing would be either would have most likely thing would either be a new mainline Mario title being like Super Mario Odyssey 2, which I think would be really nice.
Could be an amazing follow-up for sure. If they can trump Odyssey, I will give them big kudos. Because I turned back into an 8-year-old child when I played that game.
Like there's so much fan service in that game.
Oh yeah,
freaking Pauline is in there. Like she was like the original damsel in distress back on the Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
on the Donkey Kong arcade.
Well, there's a ton of Donkey Kong references. I mean, you get to be a T-Rex. Like if they can top what they did with Odyssey, all kudos to them.
Like seriously.
And I think that they could do it with a second game, but I also think they could do it with Sunshine HD.
Yeah. The other thing that we're probably going to see is like a big update from Super Mario 2.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because there's going to be a big update that's going to add in adding like new enemies, like new modes and stuff, and all that stuff. And I think, and honestly, I think that we're probably going to see like theme packs and stuff at some point in time. For other games, and I would say other games like I would suspect like 3D World. Oh, that's another port that in Super Mario 3D World.
Yeah.
Like that could be, and like that would be like such an easy like holiday title.
Captain Toad. Another Captain Toad.
Yeah.
or using those assets in Mario Maker would be really cool.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about Mario Maker.
Oh, okay, yeah. Have like a 3D Mario Maker would be really cool.
Oh no, wait, 3D World's already in.
Well, yeah, I mean they've got the assets in, but doing an actual like 3D. Probably not. Well, I don't know. It's very similar to the tile dungeon system that they introduced with the remake of Link to the Past. Yeah, you collect these little tiles and build the dungeon.
That's gonna need much time. Honestly, I would say probably just like seeing past games like Galaxy and Odyssey having cool like in seeing that kind of, and I would actually love to see a Galaxy theme because of what they could do, because of what players can do with gravity. Players can do like gravity.
Well, and a lot of that was played around with in the Odyssey 2D areas as well. Being able to play around with the gravity of surfaces, or turning your 2D plane into a 3D surface that you have to play around.
Yeah. Amazing.
Well, and another thing along those lines that we've seen some speculation, at least I've seen some speculation about playing through Link's Awakening with the tile dungeon builder is a Zelda builder.
And honestly, that could be a big holiday type.
Would be amazing. Be able to build
holiday type, a big holiday title, and then like tons of games could be referenced with it.
Oh yeah.
Like it could be.
Well, any of the 2D Zeldas, and you're just building a 2D Zelda. Would be great.
It would probably most likely be the original Zelda. I would say the new things in the past. Maybe probably a Link Between Worlds, maybe
for sure. And then what's the one I'm thinking of? No, it was Link's Awakening. Sorry, we've been calling it the wrong game for the last 20 minutes. Link's Awakening was released last year this year with Tile Dungeons.
Right.
Link to the Past is something that I would love to see them do the same thing with, because Link to the Past is by far one of the best 2D Zelda games. Oh yeah. Doing like a dungeon builder thing would be fun too. I do think their challenge would come with putting in puzzles. Because if it's all pre-built puzzles, then you know the solution by the time you build the dungeon.
I think considering Going back to from Mario 2 today here.
Yeah.
Here, like players have been very creative. How they've been with how puzzles are managed. It's pretty. It's up there.
It's how do you function between Mario, which is a platforming puzzler, or versus Zelda, which is a logic puzzle kind of game, where like you have to think about these things. It's like, can they trust players enough to build a dungeon with tricky traps and puzzles, or are they just going to have to do like they did with Link's Awakening and do pre-built assets in a tile and you just place tiles down? It'd be interesting to see how they work that out.
Yeah. And one of those things is like Zelda's one of those things that actually
for sure. But you could also see it with some of the, and again, we're getting out of first party stuff here, but some of the roguelikes that have come out. I know that we're going to talk about for sure Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, even platformers like that, getting some kind of, I don't know. I just want to see more of the maker style game.
Yeah. It's not many franchises can really pull it off.
It'd be hard. It'd be really difficult.
Okay. So kind of moving out.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Okay.
Now, the fact of the matter is that Pokemon has been controversial for a number of reasons, and
especially recently with Sword and Shield just coming out.
Yeah, and and
there's a lot of hype, and there's a lot of.
It's like I was.
Yeah,
you either love it or hate it. There's very little in between.
Yeah, really, any of that run in the DC universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as Pokemon goes, we're talking about there's definitely going to be another Pokemon.
Yeah, there's
one every year.
Pretty much. And one of the types of things is going to be a spin-off thing. That's going to be coming out. But I think that one thing that kind of focuses on like the main Pokemon thing, I personally think that it's either going to be a remake of Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, or the other option here would be a Pokemon version of Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Kind of like what they did with Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee.
Right, where they just update an older game.
Yeah.
It
was
sure.
Way back in the day.
Man, I missed that show.
Yeah.
I think it still exists.
I mean, it still exists,
but it's one of those things that I haven't touched since the 90s, early 2000s.
I only like one.
Oh yeah, I saw it. He finally won something. Anywho, that's off topic. I mean, I don't see them going a new direction with Pokemon anytime in the next year. I definitely see them doing ports, remakes, HD updates, stuff like that. Oh, for sure. Really, just I think they're going to take their older stuff like they've been doing and put it into their new engine with the slight 3D capability.
Yeah.
It's more of a 2D world rendered in 3D. 2.5D, yeah. But bringing stuff into the new engine, updating the assets and graphics for sure. But I doubt seeing them do anything new with Pokemon since they just didn't.
Yeah.
And they're a little slow on the new.
A little.
To put it lightly.
Yeah. And for me, I love like for me, like Platinum is like one of the best games Pokemon's ever made, and it's just like I don't want them to like mess that up.
Yeah.
I'm hesitant about because I'm one of the people who didn't buy Sword and Shield, who was like again all messed up. I mean, and I'm some of the stuff that we saw.
Oh.
That we saw, I mean, that atrocious.
Remember, we mentioned they are the largest media conglomerate on the planet,
and how there's like basic animation errors and stuff that like
in like key moments of the game too.
Yeah, it's like it's horrendous.
It's really sad. And most of the assets for this new game are pulled from old games, which is sad as well. So I'd like to see them do something new, but I don't see that happening. Yeah, as far as Pokemon goes.
Yeah. So, do you think there's any do you think that there's like any other like big things you think we're gonna see as speculative?
I mean, you mentioned already a full Pikmin trilogy HD. I mean, I really see the next thing they start doing is more of the virtual consoles, because they've already got the SNES and the NES on the Switch. And I would like to see them do like a Game Boy Color or a Game Boy, even an original Game Boy Advance, some of the handheld systems. Get a virtual console on the Switch. Other than that, big stuff, big first party stuff, I don't really see them doing a whole bunch else. I really think that their money is going to come if they do something big with the Ring Fit system.
I agree with it.
I think it's going to come. I think a lot of Nintendo's advancement this coming year is going to come from hardware, or it should, at least.
I mean, alongside that, I would love to see stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, an N64 virtual console would be so hard to execute, but it would be beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Banjo-Kazooie that sells us. Like that would sell itself.
Well, I mean, we've already seen it in Smash, how Banjo, making Banjo the character there was massive. Oh yeah. Well, and I would love to see either an HD remake or a new Banjo-Kazooie. And there was Ukulele, which was just a huge letdown as far as like, it's that model of game where like you have, it's buddy characters. You have a bigger character and a little guy on your back that follows you around and does other stuff when you can't do it. Yeah. It's a great concept, and it's executed really well with stuff like Banjo-Kazooie, Ratchet and Clank, even Donkey Kong Country, with the switchable multiplayer. Yeah. Where it was just such a huge letdown to see this. And it was the same people who made Banjo-Kazooie, made Ukulele. It was just a really big letdown. So I'd like to see them do something with that.
I think that they have released like the Impossible Later.
Oh.
Any games though, Hollow Knight is so.
Oh yes.
Now, while that's not a first party title, it's treated like one, even though that is being treated like one.
Well, and Team Cherry is a big enough developer now. They're well enough known now, simply because of Hollow Knight, that this is big enough to talk about in any scope.
Really. Yeah, and Hollow Knight is like it's consistently been one of the top selling games on the eShop.
Since the Switch came out, I believe it's been, since it got ported.
Since it got ported in 2018, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and it's just, I think just like Silksong. I don't know when we're gonna see it, but I definitely know that people are gonna have their eye. There's definitely gonna be like people are gonna keep their eye out for that game.
Oh yeah, and I'm definitely pretty confident that it'll be 2020. I mean, if you look at the gameplay stuff that they've already released, even just the general trailer that they put out has so much gameplay in it. I feel like they're pretty close.
They're probably so great. They're so soft. They're so soft. But it's probably closer than some people think. That's where it's kind of like go. And like that, overall, like that game looks incredible.
Oh yeah.
And I would
and we've talked about a little bit of like disappointments that we've seen over the last year or so, just with things like Pokemon, just letdowns in general with the Switch, where like the Joy-Cons stop working, and then they don't fix that problem, and they release the Switch Lite, and they don't fix the problem then either.
Yeah.
But a success with this is that This was original. Silk Song was originally a DLC
Yeah,
for the first game.
It was originally a DLC, but then they turned it
Yeah.
and
And so often in a world where we see gaming companies like EA, where they sell you a third of a completed game for full price and then expect to sell you DLC for full game price on top of that, just to round out their game, Team Cherry has gone and done the exact opposite, where, hey, we're going to give you an entirely new game that was meant to just be originally DLC for the base game.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge in the, especially in the current state of the gaming world. That's a huge change from a game developer.
Yeah. I wasn't for that. So kind of moving into personal one.
Oh yeah.
I want to see more indie crossovers.
Yes. So like getting indie games tied in with first party franchises. So we have Cadence of Hyrule, which is the
big crossover Zelda and
Crypt of the Necrodancer.
it basically was it's a rhythm game.
It essentially turned A Link to the Past, kind of, into a rhythm game. Yeah, move on the beat, but it still felt very much like a Zelda game. So they executed that incredibly well.
And I really want to see like more games,
More crossovers like that, like a Shovel Knight Mario crossover would be great.
There was like an indie game called like
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool too. But yeah, as far as desires go, yeah, definitely like more crossovers into the first party franchises, allowing themselves to be experimented with, I think is the term that we're looking for.
And the scene that you see, it's like
yeah. I mean, turning Zelda into a rhythm game. Who would have thought of that? But it was executed so well, and it was so seamlessly integrated together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would love to see something like that, or like even if it was just in the style of Smash, where we get to see some of our first party characters in indie games or indie game characters in our first party games. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
I mean, Shovel Knight's got a little cameo in Smash as a spirit and as an assist trophy. But like to see playable characters as something like this would be cool. My big want is some Metroid.
Yes.
Metroid, like we're talking about one of the largest, most successful franchises of all time. Granted, it's nowhere near Mario or Zelda.
It's one of Nintendo's legacy franchises.
It's up there, yeah. And like even just seeing the Super Metroid port, or even a Metroid Fusion port to the Switch, and not necessarily a port of an HD.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Because Metroid, it's one of those games where it aged so well, and trying to remake it.
I feel like it would be a big letdown. I think the games like the original Zelda, Super Metroid, they're meant to be played the way they were made. And so if you go and HD remake them, I get where you're coming from with that. Those games are meant to be experienced the way they're made.
And one of the whole concept thing.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see like more like Game Boy Advance stuff. I would love to see because Metroid has some very prominent titles on there that has a very prominent like just like going off like a few of them. There was like there you had like Kirby games, Zelda games, like Mario had some good stuff on there. Metroid actually had like zero. Metroid had like zero mission and fusion.
Yeah.
and like both of those were.
Well, and then there was Return of Samus as well. Or was that for the Super? I believe it was for Game Boy. Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, that's like the original. I think that's like the original Game Boy. And then the Samus Return.
I mean, it was terrible, but the remake is fantastic.
Yes.
the 3D remake.
I honestly like. Additional Metroid make at some point in time. Like
I mean, well, we were talking about 3DS ports, and if they would just do, even if it was just a 3DS virtual console, because the two systems are so aligned already, controls wise. I mean, the only thing you're missing on the DS is the right stick, and the new 3DS has a right stick.
that's the thing. It's just
they're so lined up already. It would be lovely to see.
Or like an upscale version.
Yeah, upscale ports would be great. Yeah. Sure, right.
It's like follow up to Fusion or something. Like that's
or even Metroid Prime. A new Metroid Prime game would be.
There's more.
I mean, there is. We don't talk about it. It's all right, but it being on the Wii U was its downfall. Metroid Prime 4? It's not. Oh, what? Oh, we're talking a new.
Well, that was been announced for a while.
That's it?
Yeah. It's just like that.
News to me. Is it one of these like super speculative, like we got a teaser trailer?
Yeah,
and they've never shown anything about it since.
Yeah, we started.
Right. Okay. So we're looking at a couple of years off for that. That's
I think see something.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a remake of Fusion, a Poor Samus Returns,
or HD updates from the GameCube.
Yeah, the Metroid Prime trilogy, like that's probably going to come out closer to that.
And then it'll because when 3 came out on the Wii, they updated 1 and 2.
Yeah, and then probably,
I'm sure they'll do the same thing.
Yeah, they'll.
Yeah, but that's more likely a year or two off, probably just development. I didn't even know about that. Thanks for the information.
Yeah. So not much else that I really want because like most of the other stuff that we've gotten, I've wanted, we've gotten.
Nintendo's been doing a really, really good job delivering this year.
I mean, it's like I want to see all the franchises be done. I want to see newer franchises be touched up, and I wanted to see. I mean, I wanted a new Xenoblade game. We got that. I wanted a new big Mario game. We got that. I wanted to see Wii U ports. We have almost every major Wii U port on this system.
Skyward Sword.
That's going to be but still, the principle still stands.
No, I'm thinking of the HD Wind Waker.
Yeah. Wind Waker reference.
Yeah.
I want to see like Super Mario 3 World. That's just obvious. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's gonna happen. It's gonna be it's gonna be like a holiday title, and like I mean, they could announce it, like they could put that out like at any point in time, and it would sell.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was a great game. It's such a different take on the franchise.
And Peach wasn't kidnapped.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually a nice thing.
And then to take what seemed like the worst mechanic from the game and make an entirely new game out of it with Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. They did an amazing job with it. So seeing them do something with that would be cool. As far as it's great. And it seemed the most clunky mechanic from when you were playing as Toad. You can't jump. You can move at a walking pace at best. And it just felt clunky, but it was so well executed. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how everybody played that game, is at a snail's pace.
just like more, as I said before, like more virtual console, or like I would love to see like 3DS ports, and then I would like to see that being done.
Yeah.
And just the possibility of like seeing more. I don't, and I guess that I would, and I guess just like and also like the other like big thing I would, like I also want to see like new updates like to the UI of the Switch. I mean, like I know that this isn't a part of like
That's kind of what I wanted to talk about too. Is I had this idea just a minute ago. The Witcher 3 just got released on the Switch, and what that means for the future of the Switch or the future of Nintendo in general is that we got a third-party AAA game ported to the system. A massive third-party AAA game ported to the system.
Means is that it not only showcases the possibilities of what the Switch can do, hardware-wise, but also showcases it also showcases that the Switch is not a console to be taken lightly.
Exactly.
And that Nintendo pushed that.
That was kind of their downfall in the beginning. Is that Nintendo's always been kind of, especially since the Wii and Wii U, they've been viewed as this like family kids gaming company. And the Switch has completely changed that over the last year.
And I think the marketing for it is actually like best I've seen it in
a long
time. It's honestly like ingenious.
Some of the only ads on YouTube that I don't skip are for Nintendo. Yeah.
I'm so how that's turned out. With how it's turned out. Like going like console stuff and all that. It's like I want Nintendo to fix the online.
Sure.
Because I wanted to add more stuff to that. And then
more online gaming.
I also would like please more icons, more customization stuff. That's what I want to see, because the fact that that you have icons for Captain Toad, but you don't have it for Fire Emblem. Don't have it for like so many of you like you don't have it for Pokemon or for anything anything crazy.
They have the Mario Party crew.
It's Mario, Zelda,
yeah.
Animal Crossing, Splatoon, Kirby, and then a dash for everything else. Yeah. Like I want my Xenoblade icons. Dang it!
Obviously. So like that's a big desire, obviously, seeing enhancements or advances in the capability of stuff. Yeah.
Being able to have like live back.
Well, and like you had looking at things like, and I'm loath to say this, but Xbox Live, their success in like the avatar building, customization, the amount of stuff you could do to make that your system would be great.
Yeah, like achievements.
An achievement system would be great. Yeah. That's the one thing I do miss when I come over from playing on PC is and playing on Switch is the lack of, and it's not that I don't feel accomplished when I play and complete a game. It's just I like to get little tick marks.
It's sad.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's good for those of us who get bored with games because then we can go back and get all the achievements.
Yeah. Yes, you want to cover?
I think 2020 is going to be a good year.
Yeah. Right. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
And have a wonderful day. See you later.